It's my pleasure to welcome Christa Troup to the Rotary meeting today. Christa is the grants manager with TreeHouse and is going to share with us a bit about the organization and her role. And with that, Christa, I'd like to turn it over to you. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Michelle, and thank you guys for letting me come join your meeting, even though it's virtual. I know it's a little different these days, so I appreciate you guys letting me into your Zoom and not having to Zoom bomb or anything like that. But I just want to know how many of you guys already know about TreeHouse or kind of has heard TreeHouse before, just so I kind of have a collective knowledge.
I think it's probably a wide range of knowledge.
Mixed bag, yep.
Yeah, exactly.
From little to more.
Perfect. No, that's great. So TreeHouse has been around for over 30 years. And we started in New Hope. New Hope was our first location. And we have just updated our mission statement. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and do a PowerPoint presentation. So let's see if I can do this correctly.
Looking good.
Good. So doing the slideshow, like one.
Nope, that's exactly,
Oh,
there you go, yeah.
exactly. Perfect. So TreeHouse, like I said, has been around for 30 years. So our mission is to end hopelessness among teens. And what does that really mean? We know that that's a shared experience of hopelessness. As we were kind of doing updates last year on our mission and vision, we came back to the word hope. And especially in these day and age, hope is something that is needed. And so we find that our teens come to us in hopeless situations. So it can be a situation where their boyfriend or girlfriend broke up with them and that was their only support system in the world. Or it can be the systemic oppressions, right? The poverty, the racial injustices, kind of those networks too. So we work in parallel with those two of a teen coming to TreeHouse and staying through, they can start in 7th grade through graduation, or, you know, it's a situational thing, and so maybe they're there for a couple years or something too. And we choose to focus on teens. So our founder was a Robbinsdale School District teacher who saw his teens struggling. He would end class like 10 minutes early and essentially start what we have as our program support group. And that was for peers to just come together and understand that, hey, this guy sitting next to me is also struggling. Or this girl over here, like we have the same problem at home. Or those kind of things where we can come together and support one another and know that we're not alone. So again, we're on a mission to end hopelessness among teens. And where we see that is kind of starting where teens believe what is true and what is possible. So we are a faith-based organization, and we want our teens to have beliefs that build up their self-esteem. They need these to help them, right? And so our core beliefs that we tell our teens anytime that they come to program is I'm lovable, capable, and worthwhile. I'm loved without strings and never alone. And that I have a future, right? So these 3 core beliefs are essential for the growth of a teen. I mean, teen years, if you guys can imagine what your teenage years were like, I've definitely felt hopeless in those times. And to have these beliefs instructed to you over and over again will help build resiliency, build self-worth, that can ultimately build life skills. So our programs, which also I should mention as we're in COVID land, is that it's gone virtual. So all of the programs that you see on the screen, support group, Connect, mentoring, and Next, are through virtual platforms like a Zoom call, or texting and calling, some social media. We had a social media like Instagram live account that would just be fun and casual for teens to connect. So going through that list, support group, like I kind of said, is having teens connect with one another and really build off of each other by supporting one another. And that's typically on a Tuesday night. With COVID right now, there are kind of flexible schedules and programming just due to the summer. Usually there's a trip and that kind of stuff, which we clearly had to cancel. So staff and teens are working together with their own kind of schedules right now. Then Connect, that's going to be a fun night and where a lot of our teens kind of entry in right away. And that's just fun-filled night. That's just them connecting with one another, building those relationships, playing some dodgeball or kickball or whatever the latest game of Never Have I Ever or anything like that kind of comes up, right? And those are typically held on Thursday nights. And for each of those nights, specifically, we'll have volunteers do a meal beforehand. So during this time, we've tried to work with different resources within the community to help families seek food support and that kind of resources if they need so. But typically we do provide free transportation in our vans. You might have seen them driving around in the neighborhood, and then have a meal and then have that program night. Then one-to-one mentoring is when a teen and a staff are paired together, and they're walking through life. That's ups and downs, challenges, successes that they can celebrate at any time. And then TreeHouse Next is our transitional services program. So this is now almost 4 years old, but we've been piloting it as we've grown it to help 10th through 12th and beyond make those pathways after high school. So the teens paired with a volunteer coach and then walk through life together. And sometimes there's large group sessions that can, I was a coach this year for the first time. I know nothing about FAFSA. I could not tell you or help you with that. So we come together in a large group session to get that training and provide that for both of us so that I can walk alongside my student and work with him on getting that access and readiness for college. And that was my student, but we have career opportunities as well. But essentially, we want to serve more teens, more communities, and provide more hope at TreeHouse. So today, we're serving 3,500 plus teens in 50 nationwide sites. So TreeHouse has blossomed from that first TreeHouse in New Hope to 12 directly operating sites within the Twin Cities. And then we're expanding with partner sites, partnering with a like-minded organization, church, nonprofit that wants to work with teens and provide with curriculum as well. So yeah, that kind of concludes my presentation, but I'm more than willing to open with questions. I know I kind of went fast there, so I will stop my screen and then open it up for questions. And here we are held within Wayzata Boulevard, just kind of on the other side of Golden Valley and St. Louis Park, but yes. Perfect. Good.
What is your, what size is your annual budget?
Yeah, so we're actually going through a fiscal year change right now to better align with our programming. But on average, we're a $6 million budget.
Thanks.
Where do you hold your outdoor programs? You know, if you're playing dodgeball, where do you do that?
Yeah, so most of our sites are housed in churches on their unused space and providing that kind of rental partnership. So either churches will have kind of a baseball field, or we'll go to a local park and play in that baseball diamond, or whatever the local park is too. And I should say, you guys kind of being in Golden Valley are in between our two sides of New Hope or St. Louis Park, which is off of Minnetonka Boulevard at Park Community Church. And New Hope is off of, is it 9 or Rockford? Kind of by the Hy-Vee, and forgetting the street of that. Boone, I think it is. And so we see Golden Valley residents kind of going in between both of those tree houses. And so as we're serving these two locations, the demographic of teens will change. These two are more of our urban, close to urban types. So they have more teens of color and working with different demographics too. So our St. Louis Park is transitioning some leadership right now for Amanda, who's been there for 4 years, to go into the area director role, which will oversee, with then John and Monique being their youth associates. And then New Hope has Renee as their area director, and then Koo and Taylor are the youth associates there.
So how large is your staff then? Just 6 people, 8 people?
No, that's a great question. So our staff is about 70 full-time staff in all, but then on each site is about 3 staff will manage a site.
And do you rely on volunteers a lot?
Yes. So kind of similar to what I was saying with the meals. We love volunteers. We could not do our work without volunteers. So there's different volunteer opportunities. Actually, just this week, we welcomed our new volunteer engagement manager. So Denise has had years of experience and is coming to us to kind of level up our volunteerism. So there's plenty of opportunity. And we're working towards kind of what does that mean in a virtual world, right? As we're probably going to do some hybrid modeling moving into the fall and future. But it could be the one-to-one mentoring as well. Each staff kind of have a care load, if you will, of teens, but to help each and every one, we'll need volunteers to help associate that with the teen, or the TreeHouse Next program, which is the transitional resources, and then meals and some driving as well are usually the top 3.
I have a question for you. Oh, I'm sorry, Judy, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you mentioned that it's a faith-based program. Can you talk about the faith component of the program?
That's a great question. So we are what we say grace-centered. So it's stemming from Christianity, but we don't discriminate based on race, religion, anything on that with our program constituents, right? So as I've talked to program staff throughout the years, they've said some of their greatest and challenging times is when you have teens that are coming from different backgrounds, right? That one is, we're getting a lot of like Islamic families right now. And then there's also Satanism and atheists, and what does that mean? And so we're just building on to each other. I would say the connect night is more of that faith night. So we talk to parents when teens start coming, us saying, hey, this is our programming. If you don't feel comfortable, your teen doesn't need to come to these nights as well.
So Christa, you talked about earlier, just being a teenager in normal times can be really hard. And these are extraordinary times where a lot of us are feeling hopeless from, depending on the day and depending on the situation. How are you seeing your staff, your volunteers, your youth, I don't even know how to phrase it, pivot in those moments, struggle, what has that experience been for TreeHouse the last couple of months?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you. So I would say at the start of it was our prime concern is always their mental health. So going back to those truths, to know that they're never alone during these crisis moments is ideal for us to be there. So as it was the middle of March 16th, I think it was, where we switched to virtual, and we responded with that need, knowing probably even just in the last week of, March 12th or whatever it was, of, hey, this is going to come and we need to make a decision and be there for our teens. So what are we going to do? So I think our leadership and our staff were so innovative of just responding to the teens, right? Being able to meet them where they were at through those virtual platforms. We saw them kind of disengage. I mean, if they're doing Zoom or Google Meet or whatever it is for their school all day or during these periods of days, who wants to do another Zoom meeting, right? Like, let's be honest. And so trying to engage them more and more was getting difficult. So we're now slowly integrating back in person. And that was really from the death of George Floyd, right? And seeing that racial injustice and knowing our teens needed us more than ever to go through that situation as well, right? And so through the CDC and health professionals and those safety measures and the comfort of families and teens, we started meeting one-on-one with our teens in July, I would say, and have come to like a phase 2 section of meeting in smaller groups, being social distance, wearing masks, those types of safety precautions as well, and them signing a form and whatnot as well. But yeah, I mean, we're seeing in our staff, we definitely wanted to take care of our staff as well. And so allowing that breathing room of the flexibility of hours and those kind of things were a huge asset as well when working with teens.
I have a question, Christa.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is, one of the biggest challenges on your mind as of late related to TreeHouse? And maybe if you want to answer it as also an opportunity, you could, or you could follow it up with perhaps one of the biggest opportunities that you see as well.
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. I think right now, and we kind of went there a little bit, but with volunteerism, I think that's a huge need. It's hard. it's somewhat hard for TreeHouse because we're built on relationships. So it's more of taking time than providing a tangible asset to TreeHouse. So I think that volunteerism and getting that awareness out there that's needed is an opportunity that I think, and why I'm so excited to have our volunteer engagement manager come on board this week is I think she'll do a great job to figure out what's needed and how that works. We also, I should also say with volunteerism, we have a community development team surrounding each of our tree houses, and that's community members. I mean, that's people from local businesses to local Rotaries and local law or government stakeholders as well, to come together and really be there for the teens in their backyard, essentially, right? So they help us with volunteerism, fundraising, and bringing awareness of TreeHouse to the community as well.
Yeah, volunteers is something that, you know, across the board as nonprofits, we've known how critically important they are, and honestly our over-reliance on them. And COVID has brought it all to the forefront, and really going to be a determining factor. And I think how many things we're going to be able to go back to doing and how. And focusing on volunteer recruitment and engagement in really new and progressive ways is a must at this point. It'll be interesting to see with time. I've kind of got two questions. One, I'm wondering if all of the youth involved in your programs, if they're voluntary, or if there's any maybe who are referred through some social justice programs or community, venues. And then what are some of the outcomes that you share with your funders, kind of the impact that you are seeking?
Mm-hmm. No, that's a great question. So for teens, how they're referred to us is a lot just teen to teen. Just being like, hey, I'm, in this past year, there was a student that talked in front of a fundraising event, and she was like, yeah, some of my friends were like, yeah, this like van comes, picks us up, and we get in, and I was like, oh my God.
The windows in the van, or no.
Like, oh my gosh. But it's somewhat true, right? We provide free transportation so they can be like, hey, come with us, like it's a great thing we do, or like we play, kickball or whatever, and get them engaged. But there are other avenues, and we make sure we build relationships with the local school districts, and making sure we're within them to know that social workers or the guidance counselors know we're a resource out there for their teens. As well as there are some law enforcement type of situations or court systems that we work with.
It's like a diversion opportunity.
Exactly. Yeah. Prevention and diversion. Yeah, exactly. Oh, and then outcomes. No, that's great. And I thought it was on my slide, and I forgot it. So we look towards kind of our teens building this internal belief system within themselves. So building relationships or forming relationships with peers and and mentors, and building coping skills, right? Those two are main ones. And then by the internal beliefs, they will be shown through external behaviors. So graduating high school is a huge momentous occasion for these teens, to developing hope for their future too, right? That those combined will help unleash their untold potential. So for instance, we have, going back to those core beliefs, 73% of our teens believe that they're lovable, capable, and worthwhile. that 93% of our teens are graduating from high school, and 80% are developing goals for their future as well. So are some of the key outcomes we're looking at. We survey our teens twice a year through a survey we built with Wilder Research, just to prove that evidence-based practice within TreeHouse as well.
Great, thank you for sharing. I know from personal experience, youth programs can be, there's many different challenges, and then how to measure the impact of what is normal and supported adolescent development is not always an easy thing to quantify or to, share with funders.
Definitely.
Christa, have you seen a positive response from potential donors to that Wilder research? I would imagine that would feel like really good evidence when people are thinking about making a donation.
Right, definitely. We definitely share that because, right, Wilder is definitely known within our community, and so sharing that with especially foundations and corporations, they like seeing that partnership as well. And then those individual donors, if they know about it or not, we can share kind of that evidence-based and how we've built a long-standing partnership with Wilder, so they know us well too.
Good programming, great. Well, and I think today youth need it more than ever, and I'm glad to hear that you're reaching out virtually. I know my teenagers show me new things about my computer and my phone all the time, so this is a space that they are comfortable. And I think as organizations and a society, we're learning how to do this in a better way with, this Rotary meeting being just one example of it. So thank you for sharing your experiences. We sure do appreciate it. This is being recorded, and so we're going to share it out afterwards. So as we have several Rotary members who are unable to join us in this moment, but will be able to view this meeting afterwards. So know that the reach is farther than what we have just right here on the screen.
Oh, I've appreciated this, so thank you so much. You can reach me it's Troup, T-R-O-U-P, at treehousehope.org, or our website is treehousehope.org as well. So feel free to contact us. We would love to have more engagement with you guys, and I'd love to see you out there as well.
We wish you the very best, and hope everybody is able to stay safe and to stay healthy.
Thank you.
And with that, we are going to close today's Rotary meeting with the 4-way test of the things we think, say, and do. The first one, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to
all concerned?
Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? It's so fun to say it all at the same time. It just sounds like it's all over the place. It's like art or something, you got an eye of the beholder. Well, thank you everybody for your time. Enjoy this beautiful weather. Stay safe and healthy. And until we tune in again next week, have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christa.
Thanks,
for joining
Christa.
us, Judy.